Hello everyone, this is Evan from BlazikenTCG, and today guys, I'm going to be going over the late night 119 and 120 top 8 deck list. When I made the video of going over 117 and 118, that video did pretty well. I think it has like over or almost 100 views, which is really good for just starting my channel. So I decided I'll go ahead and make another one. So I'll be going over the top 8 deck list for 119 and 120. We have 16 decks to look at today. So let's start off with the first place deck list from late night 119, which is actually Lawson Giratina. This one was 10-1, so this is a deck that's really been on the rise lately, and for good reason too. It's very, very powerful. So this one looks to be pretty spicy list. So you're playing only the 3-2 Tina line. I kind of like 3 Giratina V-Stars in this one, just because you don't play Ultra Ball or anything. So you don't have a way to actually search out Giratina. You're just relying just on your draw power to get the Giratina out. But this one is playing 2 Crams and 2 Claras, so I guess this one's a bit more favorable in the Lost Box Mirror. Just because you have, I guess you're just focusing more on your single prize attackers and just using the Tina whenever you really need it. No Roxanne in this list, and then only 1 Boss, which is interesting. No Cross Switchers either, so only 1 way to Gust and no Pal Pads. I'd say if you're playing no Cross Switchers, you need 2 Boss, but it clearly worked for this player because they went 10-1, so I guess 1 Boss is fine. You just gotta pretty much make sure you never lost zone it, because it's gonna be very useful in most of your matchups. And then replacing the Roxanne for a second Iono. Other than that, it looks pretty standard. Only 2 Nest Balls. I think you definitely do need at least 3 of them. And then only 1 Vacuum. And also playing the Temple, just trying to counter Lugia just a little bit more with the Iono Temple play to kind of lock them out of the late game. And then 2 Path as well, which is very solid in this list, just because it gives you an extra win con against some other ability decks. And then 2 Jet Energies. I'd say at least 3 is very good, but I can definitely see 2. So then the second place list is a Gardevoir deck. And this one, at first glance, just looks like consistent Gardy. Yeah, this just looks like pretty standard Gardevoir list. Very consistent. Playing the Forest Seal Stone. I'd say if you're playing Forest Seal Stone, it would probably be beneficial to play either a second Zacian or a Lumineon, just because it's going to be very rare that you draw into a hand that has both Zacian and Forest Seal. So I think if you're playing Forest Seal, you definitely need at least 2 V Pokemon, just so you can increase the chances of actually being able to use that. And then replacing the Temple for Artisan. So this one's just very, just a very consistent Guardy build. Just maxing out consistency. And I actually do like this build. I feel like with Guardy, it's more of a setup deck. So if you get set up turn 1, most of the time you'll just win the game there. Just because if you just get set up perfectly, then you have an answer for everything. So I do definitely like having the max consistency just to ensure that your deck does exactly what you want it to do every single game. Then in third place, we actually have Fusion Mew, a deck that I'm expecting to be very popular and successful at Worlds this year. But this one looks to be just a standard Fusion Mew. Yeah, taking in the Echoing Horn, which really helps in a lot of your matchups. It can help against something like Duraludon, and several of your matchups actually, just so you can bring back a vulnerable Pokemon. And then this one's actually replacing 1 Nest Ball for a Feather Ball. But other than that, looks very standard Mew list. Then in 4th place, let's see what the 4th place list has. This one, so we have some spice in this one with the Crystal Cave, trying to counter that Lost Box, trying to counter those Lost Box decks just a little bit more, just trying to heal your Genesects every turn. I think Crystal Cave is definitely solid in this deck. I just don't know how useful it's ever actually going to be, because if you're not playing against Lost Box, then it's pretty much a dead card in most of your other matchups. I mean, it acts as a stadium bump, so that's good. So yeah, looks to be just a consistent Mew list. Both of those Mew decks were just pretty standard. Then in 5th place, we have another Gardevoir list. This one was 6, 1, and 2. And so this one also has some spice. This one's playing the Mirage Step Kirlia, which I actually do respect the Mirage Step Kirlia, because like I said earlier, Guardy is very much so just a setup deck. So if you can get set up early on, then you probably just win the game, because you have an answer for everything. So the issue with Guardy is sometimes you'll open up a hand that has like 1 routes and nothing else, and you don't have a way to get a VIP pass. So in that case, a lot of times you just have to pass with just 1 or 2 routes on board. So if that is the case, the next turn you can just attach an energy and then evolve to Mirage Step Kirlia and then just attack for turn and get all your Kirlias out. So definitely a very nice tech inclusion. Other than that, we have all the standard Guardy attackers, just regular supporter lines. This one's more vulnerable to Mawile Lock and Umbreon Lock because there is no Penny in this list. I would probably replace, if I were playing this, I would replace Research with a Penny, and then maybe even the other Research for a Worker. I just really like having Penny in this list because it feels so bad to just lose to Mawile Lock just because there's literally nothing you can do. So I think if you're playing Guardy to Worlds, you definitely do need a Penny. In 6th place, we have Tyranitar Lugia. So the Tyranitar Lugia single strike style deck, which is a deck that a lot of people have kind of moved away from. It kind of has a worser matchup against Gardevoir. I mean, it's good against Lost Zone decks, but not a great matchup against something like Gardevoir. And this one is actually a very interesting build. This one does not play the Urshifu, so you just lose to Duraludon. And then instead of Mesagoza, this one is playing 4 Tower of Darkness. I don't know how I feel about that. I think you definitely... I actually think this is a good list other than Tower of Darkness. I would replace those for 2 Mesagoza and 2 Collapsed, to be honest. I just don't know. I just don't think Tower of Darkness really does enough. Yeah, it just gives you a little bit of extra draw, but with this deck, you're really just going to need to get your Pokemon out early, your Lugias and Archeops out early. So I think Mesagoza is definitely a better stadium, but this one was 6, 2, and 1. Let's check out the matches. Just lost to a Guardian Top Cut and a Guardian Swiss. So pretty understandable. Gardevoir is a tough matchup for this list just because they can go Iono Temple and just lock you out of the late game. Then we have our first Lost Zone deck. Or not Lost Zone deck. We went over at Giratina, but our first Lost Box deck. And this one's also pretty spicy. We've been seeing quite a few spicy lists lately. This one's actually playing the 1 of Zapdos and 1 Fighting Energy. So I'd assume this is a counter for the Arceus Duraludon decks, or just Art Piles in general. I think there's better techs you could include for those Arcduras. I feel like Bravery Charm is probably better in that matchup, just guaranteeing you can hit with Dragonite twice per game. But other than that, seems to be just a fast, consistent, powerful Turbo Lost Box deck, and seems solid enough. The Zapdos is interesting, though. And then we have another Lost Zone deck here. And this one's actually... Oh, wow. This one is spicy. Wow, this one is playing not only this Dragonite, but the other Dragonite from Pokemon Go, which this one, I assume the player probably just didn't have another one of these because this one's not very good. There's no reason to play this one. But this one plays the Dragonite V-Star, which just does 250. And then, yeah, look at the top 12 and attach any number of water or lightning energies. So I don't understand how this is better than just like regular Turbo Lost box, but I think the idea is just going to be just use this to put a bunch of energies in play. So you can charge up like Kyogre or something that way, and then maybe put more on the Dragonite so they'll go immediately in the discard when you knock it out, so you can just get the Kyogre play off very quickly. But this one's also playing 4 Jet energies, so wow, this is a spicy list. And the Cynthia's Ambition, which I actually don't remember what this does. What does it do? Draw until you have 5 if any of your Pokemon are knocked out until you have 8. I don't really know why this is in there because you're most of the time going to have 8 in your hand anyways. But this is definitely a spicy list. What were this deck's matchups? Alright, so started off 6-0. Wow. Then lost to a Gardevoir, which is understandable. And then tied to Lugia, and then it lost to a Tina. Wow, that is an interesting Lost Zone deck. I've never seen anything like that. That's probably going to be the most interesting deck of the video. So then we have the Late Night 120. This one was won by Lugia, actually. Another deck that was kind of dormant for a while. This one's the colorless one, so, you know, obviously no answers to Duraludon, but you're kind of focusing on disrupting the prize trade with Snorlax, and then also Weirdeer and Slacking are just heavy hitters in this matchup. So yeah, just this one is playing 2 paths, so you have a way around the Duraludon, but path isn't necessarily good in any of your other matchups because it's going to lock you out of your own abilities and you won't be able to use, like, Lugia V-Star, Lumineon, or Weirdeer, or Drapion when you need those. Although it can help with Slacking because you can use it to turn off Slacking's ability, which I think is one of the other strategies of the path in here. But a pretty cool deck for the first place list. Then we have Lost Tina. So colorless Lugia actually beat Lost Zone Giratina, which I think that's definitely a favorable matchup for the Lugia player. But here's the Giratina list. And this one just seems pretty standard. Playing the Pokegears instead of Lost Vacuums, which has kind of been a controversy a bit. Like, it's very divided in the amongst the Giratina players right now. Like, some of them are really big fans of the Pokegears, just to find those choruses, and then some are very big fans of the Vacuums. I'd have to say I kind of like the Vacuums a little more, just so you can, if you need to bump your own path to the peak, or just get cards in the Lost Zone quicker. But Pokegear also is very understandable. If you have room for them, I would even consider both, but I think if you can only play one, Vacuum is better. Then third place, we have another Lugia, this time the Single Strike build. This one's playing 3 T-Tars, so really just leaning heavily into the Tyrannitars. No Urshi in this list, so maybe that's just kind of the just a theme for Lugia now. Just take the Elegant Duraludon and beat everything else. And then this one's also playing the Towers. Very interesting. I definitely don't know how I feel about the Towers, but I think that I think you're going to have a better time just playing Mesicozas. And this one seemed to have done very well in the Swiss rounds. Only taking 1 loss to a Lost Zone deck, and then just lost to Giratina in the finals. Or in top 8, I mean. Or I guess top 4, actually. And then we have another Lost Zone deck, and this one is spicy. This one's Skyseal Lost Fox. So a deck that we really haven't seen a whole lot of over in the West because it's really just not as powerful as Turbo, but this one's aiming to take big knockouts with Drapion, Raikou, and Zapdos, and then even Starmie, which I feel like Starmie is one of those cards that is very good on paper, but really, once you start playing with it, it's not going to be as powerful as you want it to be. Like, I guess it's good against Arceus decks, but against everything else, I don't think it's really going to be incredibly helpful. And then there's no Dragonite in this one as well. I think you definitely need to play Dragonite in this build just as your all-around solid attacker. But I guess they're just focusing on the Zapdos instead. So definitely pretty nice list. Then we have another Tina Lost Zone deck. And this one just seems very, very just standard Tina. Yeah, I don't see anything out of the ordinary. Pretty much just like the base skeleton list. Just a solid all-around Tina list. Then we have another Giratina. And this one's actually, I can already see playing the Cross Switchers, actually. I feel like I like the one with just Boss more because it's more consistent. But the Cross Switcher build is definitely okay as well. But I feel like if you're just playing Boss, you have more room for like Vacuum and stuff like that. Then we, in 7th place, we actually have a Turbo Xianpao. Yeah, this one is Turbo. Actually taking the 1/1 Beeper roll, which I think is definitely very good in this list because you can recover from a late game Iono by drawing your hand back up to 5 every single turn, playing the Lost Cities, but this one's actually, no, this one is not the Turbo combo type deck. This one's just playing the Arceus just to get what you need, but not playing the Cross Switchers and Cologne. I feel like going into Worlds, the Cross Switcher Cologne one might be a bit better, but I feel like both builds are solid all around. And then in 8th place, we have another Giratina Lost Zone deck. This one is the Cross Switcher build. No Ionos, instead playing a Raihan, which can actually be okay because you can a lot of times just get like one of your Giratinas in play very quickly and search out a Mirage Gate. But yeah, just the more Henry Brand style Giratina list. But that is it for this video, so thank you guys for watching, and if you guys want to see more of these, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and hit that like button as well. It would really mean the world to me because I'm trying to get to like 1,000 subscribers. I know I'm just starting this channel, but 1,000 is my first goal. And also subscribe to my main channel. That'll be in the feature channel section if you want to go check that out. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace.